nama Hanif and my matrix number is 2024290262.
Hi, my name is INTAN and EZREENA and my matrix number is 20244343444.
Hi, my name is NABEEHA BINTI BASRI and my matrix number is 2024280222.
Law is rule that's made by government, then morality is value that help us to decide whether this action is wrong or right. Law and morality are related to protect human rights, which natural belong to every person. Law become the main foundation to protect this right, and it's help to recognize human right for everyone. Morality help people to make decision based on honesty and sincerity. Morality and law depend on each other because law help to bring justice, and morality ensure that the law is made and applied fairly.
Now, I'm going to talk about the case study for this assignment. This case study is about the deep relationship between law and morality in Malaysia and how this connection shapes the protection of human rights in our democratic system. In Malaysia, law and morality are closely linked, they cannot be separated. At the heart of this connection is our federal constitution, which has been the supreme law of the country since 1957. It was based on the constitution of the Federation of Malaya, and it reflects the agreements made between Malaysia's different races, promoting the principle of equality and justice for all. Malaysia is a constitutional monarchy. This means we have a head of state, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, who plays a ceremonial role while the power is exercised by the government under constitutional rules. To ensure that laws are fair and guided by morality, our system is divided into three key branches. The legislative, which includes the parliament, the executive, led by the Prime Minister and Cabinet, and the judiciary, which is overseen by the federal court. These three branches work together to make and enforce laws in a way that protects the rights and freedoms of the people. Historically, the federal system was introduced in 1895 to promote better governance and economic progress. Even though there was resistance, this effort evolved into the Federation of Malaya, which was under British rule until Malaysia gained independence in 1957. On the 31st August 1957, the Federal Constitution was officially established, and it's still the foundation of our legal system today. This constitution isn't just a legal document, it also guides people in understanding what is right or wrong, showing how law and morality are tied together. In other words, every action has consequences, and the law reflects society moral values. Another important aspect of Malaysian law is religion. Islam is the official religion of Malaysia, and it plays a big role in shaping the country's legal system. Because of this, laws in Malaysia must also reflect moral and ethical values, especially those found in Sharia principles. In fact, if a law goes against these ethical principles, it may be considered flawed or invalid. So in conclusion, in Malaysia, law must be ethical. To truly protect human rights, the legal system must be built on moral principles. If morality is ignored when making laws, then the law may fail to protect the people and could even cause harm.
Law and morality are the two different things, but they often go together. Law is a set of rules and made and enforced by the government to keep order. Morality is about our personal or group belief about what is right and wrong. It's important to understand the connection between law and morality. Law is give a formal system to control behavior and punish wrongdoing. Morality is shaped by culture and religion. In a democratic society, the connection between law and morality is very important. Law must reflect the people's moral value to be accepted and followed. This is how we make sure the legal system is both fair and respected. Rules of law, human rights, and democracy. The first, law give a proper system to protect human rights. Without legal rules, human rights will only be ideal with no power. Law turns this right into something real with rules and consequences when they are broken. Law in a democratic country, law are made by the people through parliament. Law are show the right people have and what the government must do. This is important things of law, which means everybody must follow the law, even the government's leader. This to keep the system fair. Ronald Darwin is a famous legal philosopher. Say the difference between democracy and dictatorship is the rules of law. In a democracy, leader must also follow the law to avoid abuse people and help to protect people. Example, in Malaysia, the federal court made an important decision. It said that the court must stay independent and free from the outside control. It support the separate of power in our constitution. The court is also removed a law that stopped judges from taking in law that were fairly paid when their land was taken by the government. This action helped protect the right under Article 19 to constitute the show that our count play a strong role in defending justice. Law and morality in Malaysia. The first, public perception of Islamic law. It is true that many people believe it's a law if only Islamic is come direct from the divine revelation. Because of this, some civil law in Malaysia are seen as non-Islamic. However, this view can be challenged. Civil law and Maqasid al-Sharia. If a civil law promotes justice, support moral value and follow the goal of Maqasid al-Sharia, then it can also be considered Islamic. Maqasid al-Sharia include important principles such as protecting life, justice and human dignity. For example, Criminal Procedure Code CPC. The example from Malaysia, Criminal Procedure Code is the one rules of pregnant women cannot be sentenced to death. This shows a strong moral value to preservation of life, which is key and in Maqasid al-Sharia. Then, the death penalty and the right to live. Malaysia is one of the 56 countries that still have the death penalty. However, Article 5, Column 1 of the Federal Constitution protect the right to live, although there are some exceptions. The court have stated that the death penalty is illegal only if it is properly allowed by law and a legal step are followed. Then, justice and legal protection. This means that the person's life cannot be taken unless the court protect is fair and complete. It shows that the Constitution support both justice and the protection of life. For example, child welfare in Islam and Malaysia. In Islam, the rights of the child are based on the principle of child welfare, which is also part of Maqasid al-Sharia. In Malaysia, both civil and Sharia court focus on the best interest of the child. Even though some custody laws still need improvement, the goal of protecting child remains strong in both systems.
I will be explaining about can legal system protect human rights without relying on moral principles? What is legal system? A legal system is known as the collection of rules or laws. It is essential for all the legal conflicts in its jurisdiction, and many legal systems can operate independently on moral values. What about human rights? Human rights are fundamental rights that belongs to every person regardless of their nationality, residence, gender, national and ethnic background, skin color, faith, language, or any other characteristics that makes all individuals have equal rights to their human rights and free from discrimination. Therefore, to answer the main question of this subtopic is that legal system can protect human rights without relying on moral principles. Law can be made with and without moral principles, but law without moral principle will not be able to protect human rights. There are some moral principles in the legal system that can be used to protect human rights. The first one is principle of justice. It is giving people fair treatment in a society to be equal with one another. For instance, law of Sharia in Malaysia integrates ethical standards firmly grounded in Islamic teaching that aligns with legal requirements, guaranteeing that moral consideration plays a crucial role in the enforcement of law. The second one is principle of accountability. Accountability is to embrace the consequences of their action, as it is about discussing a matter that must be accepted in a wide range of people. For instance, people's opinion can be reflected on making laws with one another. They must come into agreement once it needs to be decided. The last one is principle of beneficence. Beneficence is a moral duty to act in favor of others, assisting them in advancing their significant and rightful interests. For instance, a company faces criticism for their poor workplace. The main aim of the critics is often to secure improved working conditions, salaries, and additional benefits for employees. There are also issues of the legal system that relies on moral principles. These issues need to rely on moral principles to protect human rights. Without moral principles, human rights will not be protected. The first issue is death penalty issue. Death penalty issue can lead to harming human rights, as they should not get death penalty but instead serving their time in prison. Therefore, moral principles should be applied, such as justice to people who do not deserve death penalty due to their minor criminals. Number 2 is the refugees and migrants' right issues. The government established detention centers for families and undocumented children which are against their own rights as people. Action is made to lessen the widespread of immigration and undocumented migrants to occur. Therefore, refugees and migrants also have human rights, which putting them in detention centers will be against their human rights. Government can make punishment, but it must be considerate and have morality in the punishment for them.
Now I'm going to talk about the example on this issue on two different democratic countries. In any democracy, the connection between law and morality is important, specifically when it comes to protecting and improving human rights. I'm going to talk about how law and morality work together to bring real change in Malaysia, specifically the abolition of the mandatory death penalty. First of all, this movement was strongly based on our federal constitution, which is the highest law in Malaysia. Article 5.1 clearly states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty save by law. People who opposed the mandatory death penalty argued that it's unfair to have one fixed punishment for all cases without considering the unique details of each situation. They believe that judges should have the power to decide the sentence based on the facts of the case. At the same time, there were strong moral arguments from civil society groups, especially from the Malaysian bar. They said that every person has the right to life, no matter what crime they have committed. They also pointed out that there's no solid evidence showing the death penalty stops people from committing continuous crimes, and importantly, they warn about the risk of wrongful executions because no justice system is perfect. Because of this combined legal and moral pressures, reform finally happened. In 2023, Malaysia officially removed the mandatory death penalty for 12 serious offences. Now, judges have the freedom to choose other punishments based on the facts of each case. This is a powerful example of how law and morality can work hand in hand to protect human rights in a democratic society. Next, let me share with you an important case from the United Kingdom that shows how law and morality work together to protect human rights in a democracy. This is the case of Naomi Campbell v. The Daily Mirror, decided in 2004 by the House of Lords. Naomi Campbell, a famous supermodel, sued the Daily Mirror newspaper. The newspaper had published a story claiming she was attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings and included secretly taken photos of her leaving a session. Now, she did not sue because they revealed her drug addiction. She sued because the paper shared private medical details and published photos taken without her consent. She felt this was a clear invasion of her privacy. This case came after the Human Rights Act 1998 came into force in the UK, which brought the European Convention on Human Rights into UK law. This law requires courts to interpret existing laws in line with human rights values. The two key rights were involved. First of all, Article 8, the right to have private and family life, and Article 10, the right to freedom of expression. The court had to balance these two rights. In the end, the House of Lords ruled in Campbell's favor. They said that the newspaper went too far. The photos and the level of detail shared were too intrusive and not in the public interest. What's more important is that the judges created a new legal action called misuse of private information to better protect privacy rights. Baroness Hale even stated that public figures still deserve a small space of privacy. This case clearly shows how morality, like the belief in personal dignity and mental well-being, shaped the way the law was interpreted. The Human Rights Act were provided the legal foundation, but moral values guided the court's decision. So in the end, this case reminds us that in a democratic society, law and morality must work together to truly protect human rights.
To conclude the overall discussion, law and morality plays a major role in every country, including people's personal lives. Without morality, law can be very cruel and have no sense of empathy towards human rights, while morality without law will be chaotic and unfair. Law and morality need one another to be complete and bring good values to the society. It can be seen in different types of ways and even in different types of country due to them using different concepts but still protects the human rights. As Malaysian, we should be glad that Federal Constitution and law of Sharia exists because it acts fair towards people in the country. In conclusion, law and morality ensure that the country will be protected as to ensure fairness and equal treatments to everyone. Law establishes the regulations that all individuals must adapt to, while morality presents a framework of ethical principles that guides both. That's the end of our video. Thank you for watching!